We are going over the latest Detroit Lions news for you folks today. Iffeatu Melifonwu spoke to the media about culture. He's seen both sides of it. It means for Dan Campbell and this regime. Mike Tannenbaum's mock draft. It's coming right after the Iffy. There's a reason why. We're going to get into that. The secondary, it coincides right there. Should the Detroit Lions trade up or down in the draft? Give you my thoughts. The latest trade rumors regarding our Detroit Lions. But before we get into today's video, if you could do me a solid and smash that like button, it's easy to do so. Real quick, it pushes the algorithm out there. That would be great. Appreciate it. Let's get this thing started right now. Iffeatu Melifonwu spoke to the media, and he's talking about culture. He's seen it both ways. And now he's trying to bring a different identity to the Miami Dolphins over there. He says, so we are right here, and I feel like we're just fully bought in from what Coach Dan Campbell got there, Melifonwu explained. So we knew it was just to keep working, and we've never lost our identity through it all. And it just showed like we kept putting our heads down and going to work, and it feels like that's what I'll bring to Miami. I'm going to get right here, just buy into everything Coach McDaniel is saying and everything defensive Coach Weaver is saying, and just put your head down and work and avoid all the distractions because I've seen it in both. He talked about the distractions, how the media would say we're good, we're bad, we're good, we're bad. Talk about the Detroit Lions, but yet Dan Campbell and this regime just kept their head down the whole time, not worrying about what the media says, not worrying about what I'm saying. That is awesome, and that's what you want to see from this regime, is you want to see players when they're leaving and they're trying to bring a new culture to another team. It's so awesome to see that other teams want to get our players because of our culture, and other teams want to get our coaches because of our culture. This is so different, and it's so good. I absolutely love it. But we're going to continue with the safety position. But before what we do, would you draft a safety with the 28th pick? Why for yes and for no? Let me know your thoughts, because Mike Tannenbaum says yes. Now in ESPN's Mike Tannenbaum has projected the Lions will draft a player at a position. They've already had two of the best in the league. The new mock draft, Tannenbaum's predicted the Lions would use the 28th pick in the 2025 NFL draft to select Georgia safety Malaki Starks. Who is Malaki Starks? Well, he is a baller of a safety, and he is projected to be a player around the 28th pick. He reveals defensive prospect. He's elite run defense. He could be all over the field. Coverage technique and instinct is great. The ability to demolish running plays is high. Defensive scheme must account for Starks' contrast early, his elite closing speed, and his way to hit. He loves to hit. 52 solo tackles, 0 forced fumbles, 1 interception, 3 pass defense for Malaki Starks. Hell of a good player, too. Just a player you want on your football team. A dog on defense. And by the way, we haven't picked up a safety yet in free agency to replace Iffeatu Melifonwu. With that said, he is a playmaker, right? I would love to have him on this team, but I would love to have a lot of players on this team. And the safety position, in my opinion, if you're going to address it in the draft, would not be something I would probably do with the 28th pick, considering you have Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, who, by the way, are going to get big contracts. Do you expect this team to have 3 contracts? Because if they're going to pay, well, I guess you can bring in Iron Man right here, Mr. Starks, and I guess let one of those guys go in a couple years when a contract is up, but it seems extremely unlikely. And if you have a number 3 safety, if you're investing in a number 3 safety with the 28th pick, that player is not going to get as much playing time as you would expect. Obviously, say if you drafted an edge with the 28th pick, he probably is going to get more playing time. So that's something you got to put in there, playing time as well. Mike Tannenbaum, in my opinion, is someone you probably don't want to listen to in mock drafts. He, throughout history, has been completely wrong beyond belief. Mike draft or Mike Tannenbaum mock draft is probably the most unlikely scenario, and just listen to him in any of his picks. So, in all honesty, I don't even know how he really has a job. He's terrible at when he comes up with trade ideas. That's unrealistic, and his mock drafts are completely unrealistic. There's a reason why he's not a general manager of a team, because I don't know what he thinks. But in my opinion, I don't believe that the Lions are going to draft Malaki Starks. Now, what if they traded back in a scenario to pick up extra picks, and it's a Brian Branch situation? Maybe they got a couple picks in the second round. Hey, that is a situation where I can see. But I don't see the Lions doing this with the 28th pick. I think that's to be unlikely. So after hearing about that, would you draft a safety, Malaki Starks, with the 28th pick in the NFL draft? Y for yes and N for no. Give me your thoughts in the comments right now. Let's continue on here because PFF believes that the Detroit Lions had a top 5 free agency in regards to signing players to contracts. And they talk about Onwuzurike. So re-signing Onwuzurike to a 1-year, $4 million contract, made their list of top best free agent value signings of the 2025 free agency. The Lions get Onwuzurike back on a 1-year prove-it deal. The past injuries are inconsistent, playing through his level of the way them re-sign him. The PFF still wrote 2024 was Onwuzurike's healthiest and most productive season to date, and he notched 45 pressures in regular season, including a career 9 in Detroit Week 18 over Minnesota. He played out of his mind, and something about when it comes to Onwuzurike and what he brings to this football team, he is a player that I do think is a value signing. I do think it was a great signing. I think this is probably the best value signing that we had, even over DJ Reed. I talked about Onwuzurike being a player that probably we didn't pick up, and I did not believe how cheap we got him on a 4. I thought it'd be much more than that. I was thinking maybe $8-9 million for Onwuzurike because he was productive last year. Yes, he didn't produce well in the first couple years as a Detroit Lion. Totally get it. Last year was a prove-it deal. Folks, he had a fusion in his spine, and he came back and was extremely productive. That means this man can deal with pain, because I'm going to tell you right now, that's very painful that he's got to deal with. And it's something that's going to be painful the rest of his life. And he was extremely productive, and we got it on a $4 million deal. I thought it'd be twice the amount. It was a great deal. Onwuzurike, I do believe, will produce at a high level for the Detroit Lions. I do believe so. The Lions will get it. Now, we've talked about this. Detroit Rock City dropped an article about this. I've talked about this as well. There's been rumors the Lions trade for Bryce Huff, pass rusher. Should we do it right now? Here's the thing, and I want to keep it 100 without a cap. I don't believe a big move is going to happen before the NFL draft. If you're looking for breaking or Lions going to be trading for Trey Hendrickson or a Bryce Huff here before the NFL draft, I don't think a big move is like that's going to happen, or I don't think a big move of free agent signing is going to happen before the draft. Free agency for Brad Holmes is all about depth. The draft is where he really feels his need at, and so I don't see a move like this occurring. Now, Mike Valenti believes that there could be a draft day trade. Now, that's something that's possible, right? A draft day trade, maybe they get to the 28th pick or something, and a player that's not there. That's all hypothetical. We don't know, and best believe nobody knows. Let's keep it a buck. But I don't see the Lions at all making a trade for Bryce Huff or anyone of that matter before the draft. If you're looking for an upgrade for the edge position, you probably have to wait for the draft in about a month, and it's a month, folks. I think we can be patient, or after the draft for that type of situation. That's what most teams are doing. You're going to see this now. You're going to see free agents not signing. You're going to see all of that type of stuff taking place, right? Because they're now focusing on the draft, and then after the draft, it's what pieces you didn't get. Then we're going to fill those holes for the rest of free agency when teams cut down, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about it endlessly. I really don't need to go over it again. Only thing I do need to go over again is smashing that like button. Let's get to 300 likes because we're going to be talking about a trade scenario right now. And this is about, plenty of individuals are talking about this, such as Pride of Detroit. I've talked about this anyway, is the trading in the NFL draft. Now, the question is from Detroit here is, would you trade up or down in the draft? My question is, do you think they're going to trade up or down in the draft? My answer is yes, obviously, and throughout the draft, it's 100% yes. They will trade. There's no question. We know this. Will they trade up or down with the 28th pick is the question here. And I think it's more likely that they trade than they stay. Why is that? Because this is what this football team does. They trade. And if they identify a player that they would like, they'll trade up in the draft to do it. We've seen it. Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, who we traded back, we traded up, we've traded down, we've trade. Same situation. If they feel that there's second-round grades available, they may trade out of the 28th pick and pick up extra draft picks, and I don't care either way. If you're to tell me what happens here, whether stay, trade, up or down, I'm going to go with look, I love trades. I like to identify a player, but it's all about what's best for the team and who's going to be in the draft, and we don't know. We have no idea right now how the draft's going to fare out. So I'm not going to give an answer on this. I don't know if you want to trade up or down in the draft. I want what's best for the team, and I don't want the Lions to make a trade just to make a trade. That's dumb. That's stupid. I want if they're going to make a move, I want to make a move to identify the player they want and or if they want to get more value by trading back. Whatever is best for the football team, I don't care. Or if it's just selecting and staying, that's fine. If there is a player, remember, we waited for Aiden Hutchinson. We waited for Penei Sewell. We waited for Brian Branch. We waited for Sam Laporta. It all worked out well. So if they wanted to sit there and identify a player and draft it, you can't hate. It's worked out well for the draft. He knows what he's doing in the draft. So that's one of those things where I'm not too worried about. Brad Holmes is the draft. Folks, let me know your thoughts in the comments. With that said, adios.